What would have to happen inside a refinery for a dark, thick liquid to end up converted into the gasoline that powers your vehicle? Behind every liter are giant towers, furnaces at extreme temperatures, and chemical reactions controlled down to the millimeter. In this video, we are going to enter the heart of that industrial process to discover how crude oil is transformed into a precise, stable fuel capable of running millions of engines around the world. The process by which gasoline is produced begins long before any automobile approaches a service station. The origin of this fuel goes back to crude oil, a natural resource that required millions of years to form. During that long geological period, microscopic remains of marine organisms, mainly plankton and algae, were deposited on the bottom of ancient oceans and seas. Over time, these remains were buried under multiple layers of sediments that accumulated progressively. The combination of extreme pressure generated by the weight of the upper layers and the heat coming from the interior of the Earth caused a profound chemical transformation in that organic material, gradually converting it into a complex mixture rich in hydrocarbons, which is what we know as crude oil. To locate these oil deposits that remain hidden beneath the land or sea surface, oil companies use sophisticated exploration technologies. Seismic studies are particularly important in this initial phase. These studies consist of generating sound waves that penetrate the ground and bounce off the different rock layers in the subsurface. By analyzing how these waves reflect and travel through the different geological formations, experts can create detailed maps that reveal the internal structure of the Earth and indicate the areas where accumulations of oil probably exist. Once a promising area has been identified through these geological and geophysical studies, the next phase begins, which is drilling. Drilling rigs, which can be on land or offshore depending on the location of the deposit, are impressive engineering structures designed to withstand the extreme conditions of the extraction process. These rigs use special drill bits mounted on long metal pipes that penetrate solid rock meter by meter. The drilling process can extend for days, weeks, or even months, depending on the depth of the deposit and the hardness of the rock formations that must be crossed. In many cases, drilling reaches depths of several kilometers, comparable in vertical distance to the height of several skyscrapers stacked one on top of another. Throughout the drilling process, drilling mud is used, a special fluid that serves multiple functions. It lubricates the drill bit, cools the equipment, carries rock fragments to the surface, and helps keep the well stable. When the drill bit finally reaches the oil-bearing layer, the way the oil rises to the surface depends on the particular characteristics of the deposit. Some deposits have sufficient natural internal pressure, generated by gases dissolved in the oil or by groundwater pushing from below. In these cases, the oil can flow by itself to the surface through the well. However, many deposits do not have that natural pressure or lose it over time as crude is extracted. In those situations, mechanical pumps are installed, often of the type known as a pump jack, which raise the oil slowly but steadily from the depths to the storage tanks on the surface. Throughout all these extraction operations, there is a complex safety and monitoring system that operates continuously. Electronic sensors constantly measure variables such as the pressure inside the well, the temperature of the fluids, the chemical composition of what is being extracted, and any indication of leaks or anomalies. Specialized safety valves can automatically shut the well in the event that dangerous conditions are detected. This entire set of measures seeks to minimize both the risks to workers and the potential environmental damage that could result from spills or explosions. Once the crude oil has been extracted, it is temporarily stored in tanks designed for that purpose near the extraction site. From there, it must be transported to refineries, which are generally located at a considerable distance. The transport of crude is carried out through different means depending on the distances and geographies involved. Pipelines are the most common option for long overland distances, consisting of enormous pipes that can extend for hundreds or thousands of kilometers. For maritime transport, oil tankers or supertankers are used, large specialized ships. In some situations, tanker trucks or rail cars are also employed. This entire logistics system operates in a coordinated manner to ensure a continuous supply to the refineries. Upon arriving at the refinery, the crude oil is still very far from being usable as fuel for vehicles. In its natural state, it is a dark, viscous and dirty mixture that contains thousands of different compounds, as well as impurities such as sulfur, nitrogen, heavy metals and salt. For this reason, it must undergo a series of complex refining processes that will transform it into useful products, including gasoline. The first fundamental step within the refinery is a process known as fractional distillation or atmospheric distillation. The crude is pumped into enormous furnaces where it is gradually heated until it reaches temperatures that exceed 350 degrees Celsius. At these elevated temperatures, much of the liquid turns into vapor. This hot vapor then enters the base of a distillation tower, a vertical metal structure that can exceed 50 meters in height. The interior of this tower is designed with multiple trays or plates arranged at different heights, each with specific characteristics. The distillation tower works by taking advantage of a basic physical principle. Different substances have different boiling points. Inside the tower, there is a temperature gradient, being hotter at the bottom and progressively cooler toward the top. As the vapor rises through the tower, it cools. When it reaches a height where the temperature matches the condensation point of certain hydrocarbons, those specific molecules change from a gaseous state to a liquid and are collected on the corresponding trays. The lighter hydrocarbons, which have low boiling points, remain in gaseous form until they reach the highest and coldest zones of the tower. There, gases such as propane and butane are collected. Just below, at upper intermediate levels, the light naphtha fraction condenses, which will be the base for producing gasoline. Further down, intermediate fractions such as kerosene, used as aviation fuel, and diesel are obtained. In the lower zones, lubricating oils and heavy fuels are collected. Finally, at the bottom of the tower remain the heaviest residues, including materials that will be converted into asphalt for paving roads. The naphtha obtained directly from the distillation tower represents only a fraction of the gasoline potential that can be extracted from crude oil, and it also has characteristics that make it unsuitable for modern engines. Its octane rating is low, which means it tends to detonate prematurely inside the engine cylinder, causing a phenomenon known as knocking or pinging that can damage the engine. For these reasons, the base naphtha must undergo additional conversion and upgrading processes. One of the most important conversion processes is fluid catalytic cracking. In this process, the heavier fractions of the oil that could not be converted directly into gasoline during the initial distillation are subjected to extreme conditions. They are heated to temperatures near 500 degrees Celsius in the presence of special catalysts, generally composed of zeolites and other aluminosilicate minerals in the form of a very fine powder. Under these high-temperature conditions, and in the presence of the catalyst, the large, heavy hydrocarbon molecules break apart, or crack, into smaller and lighter molecules. Many of these resulting molecules fall within the molecular range suitable for gasoline. This process is fundamental because it makes it possible to convert fractions that would otherwise be less valuable into high-performance gasoline, significantly increasing the amount of usable fuel that can be obtained from each barrel of crude oil. After cracking, the gasoline still requires further improvements in its quality. This is where another crucial process called catalytic reforming comes into play. The goal of this process is to reorganize the molecular structure of hydrocarbons to improve the octane rating without necessarily changing the number of carbon atoms in the molecules. Reforming uses catalysts based on precious metals, mainly platinum, often combined with rhenium or other elements. The naphtha is heated and passed through reactors containing these catalysts in a controlled hydrogen-rich atmosphere and at elevated pressures. The chemical reactions that occur transform straight-chain hydrocarbons into more complex molecular structures, such as aromatics and branched compounds, which have better resistance to premature detonation and therefore a higher octane rating. During this process, additional hydrogen is also released, which can be captured and used in other refinery processes. Another process that is frequently carried out is hydrodesulfurization. Sulfur present in crude oil is a problematic contaminant because when it is burned it produces sulfur dioxide, a gas that contributes to acid rain and can damage the emission control systems of modern vehicles. In hydrodesulfurization, hydrocarbons are treated with hydrogen at high pressure and temperature in the presence of catalysts. The hydrogen reacts with the sulfur compounds, converting them into hydrogen sulfide, a gas that can be separated easily and then processed to recover elemental sulfur in solid form. This process significantly reduces the sulfur content, making gasoline cleaner and less polluting. Then, different streams of already refined hydrocarbons are combined in exact proportions to obtain the different types of gasoline. Even so, the product needs a final improvement through chemical additives. These are added in small amounts and serve key functions. Detergents keep injectors clean, antioxidants prevent degradation, inhibitors protect against corrosion, and other compounds improve cold starting or reduce evaporation depending on the climate. Before distribution, each batch undergoes strict quality controls where its octane rating, chemical composition, stability, and purity are verified. Only gasoline that meets all standards is stored in tanks and then transported by trucks or pipelines to distribution centers and service stations, where it is ready for use. Thus, what began as microscopic organic matter that lived in ancient oceans hundreds of millions of years ago, and that underwent geological transformations over entire eras under conditions of extreme pressure and heat, ends up converted into the liquid fuel that powers the mobility of the contemporary world. Every liter of gasoline dispensed at a service station is the final result of an extraordinarily complex chain that involves geology, chemistry, mechanical engineering, thermal and catalytic processes, global logistics, and rigorous quality control. Behind that seemingly simple liquid exists an entire planet-scale industrial infrastructure that operates continuously, along with decades of scientific and technological development that have refined every stage of the process to make it more efficient, safer, and less polluting.